This is You've Already Been Hacked, recorded on 18 September 2021. The Open Web App Security Project has released its top 10 list of vulnerabilities in web software as part of a general movement to make software less painfully insecure at the design stage, right? So one thing we always talk about is security tends to be bolted on. The OWASP is trying to help illuminate things so that maybe that's not the case moving forward. Among the new entries in the top 10 flaws are insecure design relating to specific design flaws and software and data integrity failures. The latter referring to making assumptions related to software updates, critical data, and CI/CD pipelines without verifying integrity. The current number one on their draft list is one web app security flaw called broken access control, with OWASP noting, quote, the 34 CWEs mapped to broken access control had more occurrences in applications than any other category. Non-specific examples cited include failure to validate user credentials for browser-based access to admin pages. Also troubling is the number 2 slot right now, cryptologic failures. Previously, this category was known as sensitive data exposure, with the organization noting that the old description was, quote, a broad symptom rather than a root cause, unquote. And this category, the number 2 slot, is not just about people breaking encryption. The mundane truth of this is that it covers everything from hard-coded passwords to insufficient entropy in passwords, as well as broken or risky crypto algorithms. OWASP builds the top 10 list every year by looking at data from industry about vulnerabilities discovered in web-facing software and combining that with an industry survey asking frontline workers and administrators, IT folk, what flaws they've seen over the past year that deserve a wider airing. If you have an iOS device and you have not done a software update in more than a week or two, do it now. Actually, you know what? Pause the podcast, do your update, and then come back and listen to the rest. It's that important. Okay, since you're back from your pause, Apple released on the 13th security updates for iOS, iPadOS, macOS, and watchOS. I would assume tvOS would probably have it as well, since it's all based on the same core frameworks, but maybe not. And this delivers an important security update to fix 2 vulnerabilities that the company says may have been actively exploited. CV 2021-30-860 is a vulnerability in core graphics. A patch is available for iPhone 6S and later, all models of the iPad Pro, iPad Air 2 and later, iPad 5th generation, iPad Mini 4 and later, and the 7th generation iPod Touch. Security updates are also available for macOS Big Sur 11.6 and watchOS 7.6.2. And there is a security update 2021-005 for macOS Catalina. So what's going on? Well, processing a maliciously crafted PDF may lead to arbitrary code execution, according to Apple. The vulnerability was discovered by Citizen Lab, which reported in August that it found zero-click exploits targeting Bahraini activists. Researchers have now shared new details of what they call the forced entry flaw, which was used to push the NSO group's Pegasus spyware onto devices and bypassed Apple's blast door protection introduced in earlier versions of iOS 14. Citizen Lab says that forced entry was found on the Saudi activist phones infected with Pegasus. The zero-day, zero-click exploit targeted core graphics, which is Apple's image rendering library, and was effective against iOS, macOS, and watchOS devices, researchers are reporting. They believe that forced entry has been in use since at least February of 2021. The second patch that Apple released is CVE 2021-3085-8, which is a vulnerability in WebKit affecting iPhone 6 and later. All models of the iPad Pro, iPad Air 2 and later, iPad 5th generation and later, and iPad Mini 4 and later, and the 7th generation iPad Touch. According to Apple, processing maliciously crafted web content may lead to arbitrary code execution. Apple is aware of a report that this issue may have been actively exploited. The company is crediting an anonymous researcher with finding this particular vulnerability. Olympus, a medical technology giant, is looking into a ransomware attack that looks like it came from BlackMatter. This cybersecurity incident looks to have affected IT systems in Europe, Middle East, and Africa last week. Olympus has more than 31,000 employees worldwide and over 100 years of developing medical, life science, and industrial equipment. Olympus is stating that there's an investigation ongoing currently, and that upon detection of the suspicious activity, we immediately mobilized a specialized response team, including forensics experts, and we are currently working with the highest priority to resolve this issue. Olympus is also saying that customer security was not impacted during this event. Olympus did not share any details on the attacker's identity. However, ransom notes left on the systems that were impacted during the breach point to a BlackMatter ransomware attack. This was first reported by TechCrunch. The same ransom notes also point to a Tor website the BlackMatter gang has used in the past to communicate with victims. So it is either BlackMatter or somebody else has taken over their Tor website and it is making it look like it's BlackMatter. Overall, BlackMatter is a relatively new ransomware operation that surfaced at the end of this past July and was initially believed to be a rebrand of the DarkSide ransomware. You may remember those guys from earlier this year. From samples collected by researchers after some of their subsequent attacks, it was later confirmed that BlackMatter's ransomware encryption routines were the same custom and unique ones that DarkSide used. And this malware looks to have impacted or affected parts of Olympus's sales and manufacturing networks in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. However, the company has stated that there's no evidence of loss, unauthorized use, or disclosure of data that may have been impacted. They also said that there is no evidence that the incident affected any system outside of Europe, Middle East, or Africa. So it looks like it was either an attempt in and it didn't get far enough, or it was targeted. But we don't know what we don't know yet. So maybe there's more to develop on this story sometime here in the near future. Former U.S. intelligence community members are to pay $1.6 million for hacking on behalf of a foreign government. The U.S. government has entered a deferred prosecution agreement, or a DPA, with 3 former intelligence community members to resolve criminal charges relating to their offering of hacking services to a foreign government. Between 2016 and 2019, the individuals provided their services to a company that ran sophisticated hacking operations for the UAE against various targets. A quote from the Department of Justice is, "These services included the provision of support, direction, and supervision in the creation of sophisticated zero-click computer hacking and intelligence gathering systems, for example, one that could compromise a device without any action by the target," unquote. As we said in the kickoff of the story, the 3 agreed to pay $1.6 million in penalties to not be prosecuted for violations of U.S. export control, computer fraud, and access device fraud laws. According to the DOJ, the work of the 3 defendants for the UAE company constituted a, quote, defense service, unquote, as per the International Traffic in Arms Regulations, or ITAR regulations. In this context, the defendant's activity required a license from the State Department's Directorate of Defense Trade Controls, or DDTC. Despite being informed multiple times about this, the defendants continue to provide their services without a license. This DPA is the first of its kind and seeks to limit the, quote, proliferation of offensive cyber capabilities, undermining privacy and security worldwide, unquote. Simply put, they don't want people being hackers for hire and doing that activity without the license under ITAR. Under the terms of the agreement, each individual has to pay a different amount over a 3-year term, $750,000, $600,000, and $335,000, respectively. Apart from the fine, the three also lose any foreign or U.S. security clearances and are prohibited from employment that involves computer network exploitation, C&E operations, also known as hacking, or C&E techniques. REvil, or Sodinokibi's ransomware universal decryptor key, is out. Bitdefender has worked with law enforcement to create a key to unlock victims encrypted in ransomware attacks before REvil's servers went belly up this past July. There's a universal decryptor key now waiting that is free for you to use if you were one of the impacted. Bitdefender released the key for free to unlock data of victimized organizations that were encrypted by REvil. The firm announced that it's giving this away as of this past Thursday. Bitdefender has not shared details on how it developed the key beyond saying that it was, quote, created in collaboration with a trusted law enforcement partner, unquote. You can go and download this decryptor key from Bitdefender, and they have a step-by-step guide on how to use it on their website. And finally, ransomware has encrypted South Africa's entire Department of Justice network. The Justice Ministry of the South African government is working on restoring its operations after a recent ransomware attack encrypted all systems, making all electronic services unavailable both internally and to the public. The incident happened on the 6th of September, and the department activated the contingency plan for such events to ensure the continuation of some activity in the country. A quote from the Department of Justice is, this attack has led to all information systems being encrypted and unavailable to both internal employees as well as members of the public. As a result, all electronic services provided by the department are affected, including the issuing of letters of authority, bail services, email, and the departmental website, unquote. And the DOJ has resorted to very old school manual processes with regard to court sittings and certain various legal documents being issued. However, the ransomware attack impacted monthly child maintenance payments, which have been delayed until the system is restored. The department is in the process of restoring functionality. However, at this time, they have no estimate as to when activity will be able to be normalized again. Worse yet, no one has claimed responsibility for the attack, at least not well enough or publicly enough that the press knows about it. So it could be ransomware, it could be nefarious, it could be cybercrime to help out somebody that was under prosecution by the DOJ. We just don't know at this point. That's all for the news this week. I'm your professor of cyber risk. We'll talk again soon. If you like this podcast, share it with your colleagues and friends. Your support is how we are able to continue to make this content. Thank you.